I'll bring the Upper Moreland Public Health and Safety Committee to order. Tonight, Charles Whiting is off tonight, so we have Commissioner Scull, Commissioner McFatridge, Township Manager Matt Canlin, Andrew Block, Police Chief, Fire Chief Glassman, Assistant Chief Ken Davidson from Second Alarmers. We have no presentations tonight, so approval of the minutes. Do we have any?
I'm good with them.
Okay. Anybody from the public? Okay, with that, we'll put it in the record. Let me see here. Acceptance, let's go to the Police Department for their monthly report.
Thank you, President McFatridge. It's a pleasure to present the May 2023 monthly report for the Police Department. We responded to 1,338 calls for service in the month of May, bringing our total calls year to date to 6,495 calls. Our outlying year-to-date call volume was May of 2022 was 6,450. May 2021 was 5,777, and May of 2020 was 5,520. The overall difference between May of 2020 and May of 2023 is a 17% increase in the call volume. Our following Part 1 crimes were reported and investigated by the Police Department in May. There was 1 aggravated assault that was cleared by an arrest, 1 automobile theft, 2 burglaries, 3 robberies with 2 arrests, and 42 theft offenses with 21 of those cleared by an arrest. The following Part 2 crimes were reported and investigated by the Police Department. There were 3 public intoxication offenses that were cleared by an arrest, 7 narcotics investigations with 3 individuals arrested, and 25 other crimes committed that were cleared by an arrest. The Patrol Division conducted the following proactive measures. There were 414 vehicle investigations, 49 hazardous traffic violations, 98 non-hazardous traffic violations, 7 parking citations. There was 5 homeless contacts, and 11 DUI investigations. All occurred between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. during the month of May. Our Traffic and Highway Safety Unit conducted the following investigations and activities. There were 43 calls for service, 5 traffic and parking issues, 1 citizen concern, 2 directed patrols, 130 traffic stops and motor vehicle investigations, 85 warnings were issued, 25 hazardous moving citations issued, and 41 non-hazardous moving citations issued. There were 2 arrests, and there were 303 bus patrol citations issued for the month of May. There were 3 motor vehicle, commercial vehicle inspections. 1 driver was placed out of service, as 1 vehicle was placed out of service due to deficiencies. Our Detective Bureau CID opened the following cases in the month of May. There was 1 receiving stolen property investigation, 1 fire investigation, 1 auto theft investigation, 1 recovered stolen vehicle investigation, 1 swatting incident, 1 burglary investigation, 1 missing persons investigation, 1 cruelty to animals investigation, 1 intelligence gathering information. There were 2 narcotics investigations, 2 sex offense investigations, 2 school threat investigations, 2 death investigations, 3 armed robbery investigations. 2 that were armed, 1 that was a strong arm, 4 retail theft investigations, 5 theft investigations, 6 background investigations, and 8 child line investigations. Along with their activity, the following arrest warrants were served. There was 1 for animal cruelty, 2 for retail theft, 3 for robbery, 3 access device fraud warrants, 3 narcotics, 3 outside agency warrants, 3 firearms violations, and 4 receiving stolen property warrants. The following search warrants were executed by the Detective Bureau: 1 vehicle search warrant, 1 residential dwelling search warrant, 1 cell phone search warrant, and 1 bank financial record search warrant. All those cases remain under investigation. The following is an overview of Part 1 crime statistics. In 2023 year to date, we've had 11 burglaries with 3 clearances. At the same time for 2022, there were 5 burglaries with 4 clearances. 2021, there were 7 burglaries with 1 clearance. In 2020, 5 burglaries with no clearances at that time. Our robbery offenses year to date were 10 robberies at the end of May with 7 clearances. In 2022, there were 2 robberies reported for the same time period with 2 clearances. In 2021, there were 5 robberies reported with no clearances. And in 2020, there were 5 robberies reported, all cleared by an arrest. All the robberies remain under investigation by our Detective Bureau. Our thefts, including retail thefts, year-to-date are 244 with 115 clearances. As you take a look at the highlights of the report, there was two that I like to report out. If you recall, back on May 1st, the Board of Commissioners recognized and honored Detective Sergeant Todd Smith and Craig Bald for some recent police work where they were instrumental in recovering a firearm that was connected to a homicide that occurred in Philadelphia, which assisted Philadelphia police with making that arrest. The District Attorney's Office on May 18th also recognized Detective Sergeant Smith and Officer Craig Bald at the annual law enforcement commendation ceremony. So District Attorney Kevin Steele presented both of those individuals with commendations for the same work. So it's very, very, very proud day for Upper Moreland Township. Also on the 19th of May, the Eastern Montgomery County DUI Task Force conducted the DUI checkpoint in our township at 1130 Easton Road. And this was conducted in both directions, north and south, from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. There were 1,250 operators that were contacted during this enforcement event. 13 of those operators were administered standard field sobriety tests. Of the 13 operators, 4 were arrested for DUI and related motor vehicle offenses. The task force officers issued 90 equipment violation warnings during this proactive measurement. So it was another good evening just to keep the community safe with respect to our DUI enforcement. And again, we work on the task force and we're reimbursed by the state for that activity. Lastly, in my report, I'm happy to report right now, we just had our mock assessment for our accreditation through the Pennsylvania Police Chiefs Association. The mock assessment went very well. And on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, the state assessors will be on site here for the 2 days doing the final assessment. So I feel confident that we'll do well on that, and we'll be notified on the 25th of July whether or not we receive the accreditation. But I do at this point, based on our mock evaluation, we've done well. And that concludes my report. Questions?
That part's really good to hear, because we've been at least 10 years that I know of trying to get somebody to get this done. And so I'm hoping we are done in July. So congratulations on getting it this far, because I know the policies and all that stuff is tough. Just want to, the thing that, it's not surprising if you watch TV, burglaries, robberies, and everything has doubled over the years, last year, this year. And it's just surprising when we say Little Upper Moreland, all of a sudden we're in the middle of an awful lot that's going on with the same amount of cops, same amount of, and more arrests. I'm quite impressed on how many times it's cleared by an arrest in this township. It really shows how good our detectives and our police department are. So I just congratulate all of them for the work that they do day in, day out, and being successful. Because the thing that bothers me most is they just caught the kids on Moreland Road. Well, they're in the system already. They're just out on probation, and all of a sudden they're right back at it. As soon as they get out on a probation or anything else, it's the same people. And it's frustrating society and judges and everything else that we charge them, we convict them, they're right back out. And it's got to be frustrating for the police to keep it at it. And I got to congratulate them, because they really do. They just keep at it. So thank you to all of them. Anything else on the report?
No, I can say, people in the community say, you know, there's hardly any crime here. No, I never hear the police doing anything. And then I go up to Bucks County and they say, Willow Grove, don't go down there. It's a mess. But no, I understand it. You work below the lines, let's say, and I really appreciate it. And you're here every other month giving somebody accommodations.
They're doing some, as President McFadden said, they're doing some phenomenal work. They really are. Where they, we're not giving up. If a crime's committed, we're going to investigate it, fully. And if we can clear it, we can make that arrest. We'll absolutely do that, just to keep the community safe.
Any comments from the public on the report? No? Okay, we'll move that in. Next, we have Fire Department, Chief Glassman.
Thank you, President McFatridge. It's my pleasure to present the report for May 2023. There are 59 fire calls, 22 EMS QRS calls for a total 81, 17 fire permit inspection. Fees collected were $1,050. The yearly amount collected is $8,865. There are 6 fire marshal investigations during the month. On May 23rd, we had a significant fire at 406 Bensel. I attached 3 pictures. It originated, believe it or not, in the bed of the pickup truck with some improperly discarded rags. It communicated to 2 structures. One of them had significant damage. The other one absorbed some damage from radiant heat from the fire itself. That was in the middle of the night when that occurred. May 1st, we swore in firefighter Townsend. He replaced the retiring firefighter Andy Girth. For community-oriented events, we attended 3 events with 31 people attending. Fire service training hours was 41 personnel for 579 hours. And that concludes my report, pending any questions.
Okay. Any comments? No. Any comments from the public? No. Okay. As far as fires, it seems like we have less, but we have more calls. Is it just the traffic calls and stuff? But it just didn't, like here, we only had one. There was like a real fire. It seemed like in the past we used to have it. What's the contribution to less fires, I would say, over the years?
So I would say there are several components to less fires. One, first off, is early detection with smoke detectors, sprinklers. We had a good sprinkler incident. I was in one of the reports a couple months ago in Willow Point. One head controlled the whole thing. Prior to sprinklers, it would have burnt the whole apartment building down. Inspection program is very robust in this township. We're out there getting all our inspections done, and we're also arriving in a timely fashion. If you look at the response times, a good portion of the time, it's right around 4 minutes. Year to date, it's 3:58, so we're getting there quickly, finding them small, keeping them small, and handling them before they become significant incidents.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to know, because we have had some in the past, and we go back years and years, and it just seems like everything's nowhere near the catastrophes that we used to have.
My fingers are crossed. That's the way we want it to be.
Yep.
Fire-free community, free of crime, free of fires. That's a great community to be in.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, we'll move that report in. Yep. Second alarmers?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I have April and May statistics for you. In April, there were 348 calls for service for EMS in Upper Moreland Township, resulting in 195 transports. About 10% were still handled by mutual aid from outside, so pretty much on par with what we've seen. And as usual, a lion's share, 186 of those transports went to Jefferson Health Abington, 7 went to Holy Redeemer, 1 to St. Mary's Medical Center, and 1 to Doylestown Hospital. In May, there were 344 calls for service for EMS, 199 transports, 9% handled by mutual aid, and again, 189 to Jefferson, 6 to Doylestown, 4 to Holy Redeemer, and 1 was transferred to Bernathen Ambulance for an assist in the transport. Unfortunately, in May, our naloxone administration was back up again. Again, it's been pretty low, almost non-existent by EMS in the past couple months, which is good. Not necessarily a bad indicator for May, just there was a blip up and there were 6 administrations of naloxone by EMS. We expect to continue to see the effects of xylazine being added to some of the substances being used. I believe Deputy Chief Marsh reported on that a couple months ago, and xylazine is not responsive to naloxone, so we will probably continue to see more cases where despite naloxone being given, we still have the issues of overdose. We'll continue to kind of keep an eye on that as it occurs. Staffing, again, sort of a bittersweet year, so full staffing will be 3,348 hours of ALS. In May of 23, we were 3,211 hours compared to 22, where we were 2,980 hours. We had a downgrade to BLS 89 hours compared to 322 hours in 2022, and downgrade to no service 48 hours as opposed to 46 hours. So staffing is certainly looking up, but we continue to see challenges, especially on Sundays and holidays and other times when it's difficult to get some of our part-time staff in to cover shifts. Quick update on our fund drive. Again, it runs typically May to May. In May of 2023, we received $3,690 in contributions from Upper residents for subscriptions and $895 as donations. The actual mailer went out and hit most households. I think it went out May 25th and hit households a day or two after. So certainly next month I'll have a lot more to report on contributions and donations regarding fund drive. On May 24th, paramedic Steve Terrell and I had the pleasure of spending time with the students at Upper Police Citizens Academy. We spent some time talking about reaction to active threat events, run, hide, fight, and stopping severe bleeding. It was a great group of students, and we had a good time getting an opportunity to meet them and share some of the medical knowledge. Our EMS Week open house on the 25th was a big success. We had over 100 area residents stop by to visit our crews. They learned about hands-only CPR, stopping severe bleeding, and got to see some other demonstrations. And as many people have probably noticed driving by our headquarters on Davisville Road, we recently did a facelift and replaced all 5 of our bay doors. Most of those were the original doors from 1991. And certainly the station, I think, is looking a little bit better in the front there. We put some windows in, let some light in, and you can see the trucks in there. And so we think that turned out well. That is my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Question, you ordered 2 new trucks right, that you were getting ambulances?
There's a total of 3 new trucks coming this year, yeah. There are 2. They are in New Jersey now. We're making progress. We have an inspection scheduled, I think, for one of them next week, and then hope to have the next one in a couple weeks. So they are moving faster than they were, but still at a snail's pace.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I was wondering if they ever got in service yet.
They did not. So they finally made it to New Jersey. One of them required some paint work and some other things, and we're hopeful that we'll have all 3 going in service around the same time, I would guess within about a month and a half or so.
Good.
Does that mean you have 3 that need to come out of service?
Yeah, well, we probably have about 5 that need to come out of service, but 3 of them that are coming out of service, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any public questions? None? We'll move that in. Oh, we got one.
So thank you, Chief Davidson. You mentioned the hours for employment have gone up and you have more hours filled. What can you attribute that to? What's different this year versus last year?
So we were able to make some of the salary adjustment that we wanted to make. As I've mentioned before, we weren't able to do everything, but we were able to bring our salary up to be more competitive with some of the other area departments, and that has gained us a few students. We've also had some of the different programs. The program that Willow Charitable Fund has sponsored for us the past couple of years to get people to go to paramedic school. So we got 2 paramedics out of that last year, and I think August we'll have 2 more graduating. And then, while it's not completely finalized yet, but through a donation or a grant that came from Penn Community Bank, we actually should have 8 scholarships available to our EMT program in the fall, again, with the hope of being able to get people in and then recruit them. So I think it's kind of a combination. Some of the recruiting efforts are starting to pay off, and some of the ability to fund people going through the training and kind of start fresh and build new providers. And then certainly in 2022, when we were able to make that initial salary adjustment, that definitely was a help. Again, we're hopeful to be able to continue that because other departments, you know, it's one up the next one.
Yeah,
so
it's just competition.
It's difficult.
No, well, I wanted to hear a reason for that because I was hoping that part of it was recruitment and retention and the efforts that you and your team are doing in order to get those grants and those scholarships. So, you know, this time last year we were talking about dire straits and going through all of that, and now it seems like you and your team have definitely put the effort out there to provide the services, get people interested, and bring them into the group. So commendations to you and the group for making that happen.
Thank you. I keep saying there's light at the end of the tunnel. It might be a birthday candle, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. So.
Okay, we'll move on. No old business, new business. The State Fire Commissioner grant application.
So this is the first year the new fire commissioner, Commissioner Cook, has put out there a grant for a career at the Foundation Fire Department for upgrade to facilities. That's the good news. The bad news is it's not a very high amount for the whole state, but you can apply up to $100,000. The also good news is there is absolutely 0 matching funds. So if we get the grant, it would cost nothing to the township, and we would do a whole bunch of upgrades to the facility that are in desperate need. And there's no cost to apply for it. I'll submit it and get all the paperwork worked out with Randy, and
Okay, make a good application. Okay. Any other questions on this? No? Okay, very good. Do we have to vote on this?
So I think the full board will adopt.
Yes, just for clarification, this is due at the end of June. So it'll be placed on the July board meeting, but that will be to ratify the action.
Okay, we're 4 of us here, 5 of us here, they're all okay with this, so we'll just sign it afterwards.
Definitely put together a good application. Take all your photographs at night with the flash on, so it looks super haunted and creepy. Like, we gotta point out that this place is falling apart, right? So get out there and do it.
They say, you know, you can apply for 100,000, but the number statewide is small, but
Yeah.
they're asking everybody to apply because they want to prove that there's a need, so that next year,
Yeah,
it will be a different process, calls all the new political people in place for next year. So pretty much everybody's applying for 100,000. I talked to several chiefs, and I'm like, okay, so, but.
Yeah, hey, we need it, so-
We get lucky and get
Yep.
15 or 20.
Awesome.
Whatever they give us, it's free money.
perfect, thanks.
Okay, so we'll move this for the vote, but we can go ahead and send the application in. Okay, any visitor comments? Commissioner comments? Okay, we're adjourned.